Hey, so if you are just tuning in either on Instagram Live or on this Zoom call, we're going to be talking with Tanya Shyika today, a really fantastic illustrator who lives in Brooklyn, New York. And here she is. Hey.
Hi Matthew. How are you?
I'm good. It's a morning this morning. Can everybody hear me okay? Give me like or a thumbs up or something if you can, and that would be useful for me. Just to introduce myself, this is Art Plus People's Creative Lunch Club, where we get together and we don't have lunch, but we munch on tasty ideas and we think about what's possible and what's out there. And so I'm really excited to have Tanya on the call today because she's one of my favorite illustrators. Her style
Thank you.
is your style is so cool and colorful and fun, and then you also have really amazing impact and intention behind your work. And so, yeah, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good. Yeah, this was just a nice morning and trying to set up this thing, trying to figure out the tag and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, so we have an Instagram live stream going for both of us, and we also have this Zoom call. So if you're tuning in on Instagram and you want to join the Zoom call, you can go to the link in my bio at Subway Therapy on Instagram, or you can go to artpluspeople.com/lunch. So let's get into it.
Yeah,
You're an illustrator. You
I
live in
am.
Brooklyn. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from Ukraine originally, and then
Mm,
I used to live in Berlin for like 5 years.
cool.
And then I moved here for I came here for an exchange semester. And then I liked it a lot, and then I moved here. Yeah.
Cool. And tell me a little bit about your work. Like, what does it look like? Are you freelance? Do you work at a design agency? What's the scoop?
So yeah, I'm a freelancer. I'm a freelance illustrator, and I do different things. I actually, I need to start saying this more often that I'm also a designer, because I think my work has a lot of design elements in it, and the composition of it is really important. So yeah, I'm a freelance illustrator and designer, and I do different kind of projects like editorial and product illustrations and packaging, and I do illustrated maps, and I also do illustrations for like mobile apps and things like that.
Cool. Would you mind showing us some of those illustrations? I know
Yes.
you brought some. Also, if you're, while she's getting that set up, if you're tuning in on the Zoom call, you're entered into a giveaway. So she's going to be
Yes.
sending out 3
I have
illustrated.
I have 3 illustrated cards that I actually printed myself, like by hand. They are silk screen printed, and I have exactly 3 stamps. So that's why there's 3. It's not a random number. So for everybody who's gonna be here, we're gonna do like a little giveaway in the end, and I'm just gonna pick 3 people.
So if
Yay.
you're watching on Instagram and you want a chance to be in the giveaway, join in on our Zoom call so that you can get a chance.
Open to the Instagram people too, right?
Okay, sure.
Just
All right.
give it to everyone.
So why don't
Okay.
you show us your stuff, and then I'm going to flip around my camera so that people can see on Instagram Live what you're showing us. Okay.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Okay, so this is, yeah, my name is Tanya. I'm from Ukraine, um, and I'm an illustrator. And I wanted to start with sharing a little bit of my process. Um, and this is the final illustration that came for that process. But I usually start by just like sketching a few ideas and with just like pencil, nothing fancy. And after that, I have like a little light pad that I use. That's basically like a light box. It's shining, nothing really crazy there, but I love that thing. And I layer different sheets of paper on the top, and I just trace it over. and add like extra details. And some things go away at the same time, some things add. So like if you can see on the screen, for example, there was like a little tiger in here in the original sketch, and then I decided there's like too much going on, so there is no tiger in the final illustration. And then so I trace it, and then I scan everything, and I go in Photoshop, and then I color everything. Something's going on. Oops.
Technical difficulties.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, we're back. So yeah, this is like colored in digitally in Photoshop. Then so yeah, like a very similar process here. The same thing. You can see how really similar it is. This figure just changed a little bit, but otherwise everything is pretty much the same. And then, so yeah, this actually was a part of this artist residency that I did with Soho House and Tenture. It was me and another person, and we were basically camping in the woods, which was kind of bizarre, but also fun. And we were there for 3 days, staying in this like little tents that have like also like a little fire oven inside, which was really, really cute, but really cold at night. And so like during the residency, this is like I went and collected like different plants, and then I drew them, and this is like the 3 illustrations that I created that were part of the exhibition later. And this is another project that I did for Art on Link. Those are those screens in New York City you can see. They look like this. And I had my work up there for 3 weeks. And
I used to see it all the time. It was really fun to see your work in New York City.
Yeah, it's super fun. It was like, you know, basically I was hunting for those pictures. Sure. You know, like I wanted to see them, but sometimes it was just like the same one would pop up and the other ones would not. And yeah, it was really, really fun. And my family was in town that week, so it was like I was really proud to see and to show my work to them.
Cool.
Yeah, and this is a project that I did for a company called Valo Loco. They are a natural body products brand. They do like different soaps and shampoos and hand soap, and everything is very like natural, like amazing quality, and it smells so good. Like it's just the best. I really love them. And I did a little design, like a little packaging design for their Christmas gift set. I designed this little pattern, and so yeah, that was just in stores right before Christmas last year. And this is another project that I did. It's CBD treats and for pets and for dogs and cats. And yeah, so I designed this little guys, all kinds of shape and size of dogs. And yeah, so they later renamed it. So this is this is like the final product. And it was really cool also like to see pictures of it and things in real life. And this is a project that I'm currently working on, and I'm really excited about it. It's called Futurista. So it basically is Futurista is a platform for young girls, teenage girls, to find inspiration and advice from professional women in different fields. And we're building this app that's gonna share through the app. We're gonna share the stories, and there's gonna be courses and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I'm like really excited about it. This is I think it's just a great cause, because when I was like a teenage girl, I really didn't have a lot of, I didn't know what I'm gonna do in life. I mean, I always was creative, but I never I didn't know what I'm going to do, because I didn't have a lot of role models around me that would do something creative. So I went to study electrical engineering originally, actually. So I came like a long way. But yeah, so I'm really excited about this project. And if you want to stay updated, we're gonna run a Kickstarter campaign for it. And you can sign up for updates on Futurista. No, it's bigfuturista.com.
Sweet.
Yeah, and this is the illustration that I did for them. And yeah, and I also do a little ceramics, which is a super fun project to do just in general. And I really miss it, because right now my ceramic studio is closed. But I think I'm,
ceramics,
yes.
no.
But I think I'm just gonna, I have some clay at home, so I'm just gonna do some stuff and like paint it and then fire it and everything later. But yeah, I really recommend it for people who are like having, anxiety or things like that, because like it really helps me with my anxiety. And just like basically being with clay and like doing something like really with your hands really helps, and you just kind of zone out and stay in this flow and forget about everything.
Cool. Well, thanks for
Yeah,
showing us some of your
that's it.
work.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm going to switch the screen back around to me and get this set up. Cool. All right.
Any questions?
Cool. So, we can open it up now, but I would certainly like to ask a question about your creative process. How are you? So you just moved, right?
Yes. So we moved in the midst of this whole crazy situation.
It's hard to imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, so yeah, I mean, we didn't move far. We moved from one neighborhood of Brooklyn to another one. So it wasn't too bad, but still like unpacking and disinfecting everything.
Right.
We were touched and things like that. So yeah, it was a bit of a challenge.
It certainly adds an extra weird layer. But now that you've gotten into your new space, how do you? All right, one thing that's been recommended to me lately is kind of zoning off sections of your living space so that you have, like a creative zone and another zone for sleeping, and there are a lot of different ways that people go about parceling out their day time wise so that you feel like you have a day, and then also sectioning off different zones of your living space. Do you do something like that to help you stay creative or to stay
Yeah, I mean, of
productive?
course. So I'm very lucky to have like a separate room. I don't know, there's a bit of an echo here because there is not a lot of furniture or anything because we just moved. So I have a separate room right now. That's my studio, which is great. But before I used to have a studio, like a shared space with other people, which was great too. And also, when I was working from home, I just basically had like a one-bedroom apartment, so I just was working in the living room / kitchen, which was like my dining table, and it was good to always have like I like having my stuff out, so I can basically like pick up where I left off from different projects. But that doesn't always work when you live with people, or like if you have a roommate and they want to clean up your mess and things like that.
Yeah, sure.
So that's a little, like for me, that's a little distracting. But what helps to me to like kind of get into this, like flow is actually like putting on headset, and I use brown noise to like just kind of like not to hear anything else. And I
Wait,
always
what noise?
brown.
Brown noise,
Yeah.
not white noise, brown noise.
No, because brown noise is actually like helps with creativity, they say, so that's like.
Okay. If I Google brown noise, is this going to show up? What?
Yes, I have this on my like saved tabs that like it's an 8-hour video on YouTube.
Really?
Yes, it's I love it. It's basically it sounds a bit like water dropping from
Okay.
like a waterfall. So it's like really calming and stuff. And then I usually turn on some music additionally to that, but like kind of like with the volume turned down. So it's a little weird. Everything
Can
in
we?
my ears.
Can I? Can I hijack this? Can we explore this brown noise thing together? I'm gonna I'm gonna screen
Yeah,
share
sure.
some brown noise and see if we can hear some of it. Okay, so this sounds like white noise to me. Okay, I'm not going to screen share because this is like a white noise thing. Maybe I'm clicking on
Well,
the
it's a
wrong
little
thing.
different. It's less like I feel like it's softer and it's less aggressive and so yeah.
Okay, maybe we can link some into a Spotify playlist or
Yeah.
something. That's what Masha says in in the chat. We can make a playlist. Where's the link that you said your brown noise?
My brown noise is on YouTube, and I know there's like apps for that and things like that, but I just basically Googled it, and that's what came up.
Do
I
you
can
think you
share it.
can you
Yes.
put that link into the chat of the Zoom
Yeah.
call? Okay, perfect. So if
And
anybody's
radio.
listening from Instagram, if you want to see this link, you can go to the Zoom call. The link's in the bio. Um, but that's super cool.
Yeah,
Um,
and the other thing that I actually, there was an article recently on Medium
hmm,
about how like your headset with the noise canceling, like AirPods, can build with the help of them with those headphones. You can build your creative practice, which sounds a bit weird, but I think it really works because basically you're building a habit of using that headset specifically for when you're creating something.
hmm.
So it's like training your muscle. And I thought that was like really clever. And that's kind of like what I do. But I didn't think about it that way. I didn't think about it as like building a habit or something like that. But
Interesting.
yeah.
So on Creative Habit, what's like your schedule look like? Are you illustrating all day long? Do you have like do you work best in the morning, in the evening?
So I think I have like different sprints. Sometimes like before this quarantine, I realized that it makes sense for me to like when I wake up the first thing in the morning from like 8:30 to 10:30, just to like don't shower, don't do anything, don't like try to like have breakfast or anything, just to like work for 2 hours. And that like really worked for me before. So just basically like have that time to like do something, to start something, and then after that I go like have food and start my day. And but that's like at least this 2 hours I dedicate to work. But right now it's a bit more difficult because like my husband's at home, he's working from home, so
Hmm.
yeah, I'm trying to figure out some different ways of doing things. And recently, I've honestly been just like staying up late, which is not very healthy. So don't do that.
Don't
Yeah,
stay up late.
yeah,
I
that's
do
a
think
bad
that's actually a
habit.
particularly bad thing because people just kind of stay up doing whatever. It's not like a lot to do. So at least for me, if I'm up, it's because I'm watching YouTube or some
Mm.
show on Netflix, and it seems to be like the mind killer for me.
Start actually like if I'm productive, then I stay up, and then like when I feel like I'm starting to get tired, then I go to bed, obviously. But sometimes I just stay like it's really bad, but I do sometimes stay till like 3 in the morning. Yeah. But yeah. So like that's more of a productive time, so I don't feel as bad about it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because when you're at night, nobody's around, nobody's texting you, nobody's like distracting you, nobody wants to talk to you. You kind of, yeah, it's for me, it's like a very good time to work because I don't get distracted.
Nice. Before we get too far away from it, I was wondering if you could post a link to the Futurista project
Yeah, right.
in the chat so that people can see how they might be able to check that out. And then while she's doing that, if anybody wants to ask any questions, let's open it up. You should be able to unmute yourself. Yep, you can unmute yourself if you want to ask something. If you're on Instagram, feel free to ask any questions that you might have. I'm going to bring this around. Feel free to ask any questions that you might have, and then we can get them answered.
I really like this Zoom and Instagram setup because I put my phone on the tripod right behind my screen. That's super cool.
Tanya and I are both rocking really, really weird setups to talk about the creative process a little bit. We have the call here, and then on top of it,
the Instagram Live.
Instagram Live. It's been a funny morning. Any questions about illustration, setting up a workstation, anything of that nature?
How you guys doing?
Hey, what's up, JD?
Hi.
Hey, so I have a question about illustration. Do you usually do you like come up with what you want to draw before you're illustrating, or do you ever just start doodling and sort of see like, oh, this is what's coming up in here, and go with that idea? How do you usually discover an idea for what you want to draw?
So the question is, how am I discovering ideas for what I want to draw, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. So basically, I guess a lot of times what defines that is the brief, or like if I'm not, like if it's for a job, then I'm just starting with that. And when I just draw for myself, I start actually, like, I really like Pinterest. And I go there, and I like to get inspired by other people's work, and I just go and see like, oh, like it would be so cool to do this too. And then obviously, like, if I try to do the other thing myself, it turns out to be like something very different. And in the end, it looks nothing like my other person's work. So,
right.
But it's good for me, like, it's good to just, find inspiration in other people's work. And also, I think, like, the current events are inspiring me too. And there was like this whole thing for me to do something right now during this like social distancing, physical distancing, situation. So I started this project that I asked people on Instagram to like send me words, and for like a limited period of time, and then I collect all of them, collect all the replies, and I draw them into this like big drawings of all together. So, and I don't really practice anything before, so sometimes they don't look as good. But I just like freehand everything. So it's it just and that's super fun because like it gives my brain something like to do, and it challenges me because like sometimes people ask like really weird stuff. Like, for example, somebody asked me last time to draw a pineapple dancing with a donut unicorn.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, like I can just, ignore that, or I can like take the challenge and just, have fun with it. So
Did you draw it? Did you draw the pineapple?
Yeah. And
do you have that drawing nearby? I feel like it's got to be nearby, right?
Well, it's behind me. Is it okay if I grab it?
Yes. Can you show that to us,
okay,
please?
Sure.
Tanya is one of the most humble illustrators and artists that I've ever met. She's so talented. and just also a great friend. But I'm excited for you to show people your stuff.
So this was the I just didn't want to. I thought like I wouldn't bring the drawings because it's like, you know, pointing at my laptop camera with a piece of paper. I don't know how good
I
people.
like it. I can see it.
Yeah, people can
Thank
see
you.
it. It looks great. Can you give us another, just give us like a full view of that for a little bit? So, you know, again, this is a drawing that Tanya did by asking people on Instagram to share words. And as words were coming in, she was drawing this drawing, which I think is pretty amazing.
Very nicely done.
So yeah, and actually right now I'm gonna do one on Wednesday too. So and right now, so I'm trying to come up with a theme for every drawing because before it was pretty random and sometimes it's, you know, hard words or like really abstract things like articulation or you know, that sometimes like I'm thinking like, oh, how would I draw that? Or empathy, you know, so more of like abstract things. And I started thinking like, what can I do to make this more interesting for myself and kind of bring everything together. I started come up with like topics for drawing. So last one was spring. And this time I'm doing one for New York City. So
Cool.
everybody has any ideas or any words that they associate with New York, just reply to my Instagram stories or send me a text or DM.
Nice.
Cool. I see that Masha has asked a question in the chat. She says, hey, I have a technical question. Recently, you've been drawing some things that people wrote in your Insta stories. What tools do you use for setting your camera above the table?
Yeah, so actually I have a really cool tripod. Okay, I'm gonna show you all my tags.
You can show anything you want to show. Okay.
Okay.
This is your time to share your process with other people.
This is my tripod. I have it like set up all the time right next to my table. And then basically I tilt it so it kind of hovers over my table. So it doesn't really hover all this much, but I can kind of like make it work. And then I got this like a special piece for my phone that you can also attach to the tripod because tripods are generally made for cameras, right? So there is nothing to attach your phone to. So I got this thing on Amazon for like $9. And it's,
Cool.
you attach it to your tripod and then attach your phone to it and it works really well. And then there's actually with that piece, there's another thing that came that I think is like just genius and really cool. It's a little clicker for your phone. So basically it's connects via Bluetooth with your phone so you can start your video or take pictures just like remotely. So basically it's like a remote for your phone. And yeah, it's like really useful for like taking self-portraits or, taking videos of yourself if you're like in the other corner of the room. Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else on Instagram or in the chat on the Zoom? Any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask a question to Tanya about illustration, about her creative process, about whatever it is that you're interested in asking about. You can ask whatever.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Maybe I joined a little bit late. Maybe you guys covered this, but I was curious how you develop your style, because you have a very like specific illustration style and aesthetic, and I'm curious like how you came up with it and the process and what inspired it.
So for anyone listening on Instagram Live, Sharona asked, what inspired Tanya's style and how did that develop over time? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Thank you. I I think that's a question that a lot of people are asking, or just struggling with, like this whole like style thing. I think for a long time I also struggled with that, and I think realized that whenever I draw something, it's just gonna be me who drawing that, so that's gonna reflect. So all of my, like experiences and all of what happened in my life, everything that I've seen visually somehow is gonna reflect into what I draw. So I think everybody kind of comes with their own style, with their own brand, but so I think it's really just a way of getting it out and getting all of that, stuff that's in your head and in your, drawing skills, just get it out on paper. And basically, the good way of doing that is obviously just make more stuff and draw more, and draw things that are unusual for you to draw. That, for example, like I think I have like a pretty good, like I like drawing people, but for me it's always like very challenging to draw animals and kids. Kids are people too, but but it's different. So like they have, bigger heads and proportions are different. So that's why actually, like, I think this exercise or like this challenge that I'm doing on Instagram is very good, because a lot of people asking to draw like animals and like different, fruit and vegetables and things like that. So like I usually would not draw animals, but it's just a matter of like practice, I think. Yeah.
So did your style always look the way that it does? Like at what point did you did you study classically illustration or graphic design or anything that had you doing more representational things, or did you always have like the funky, awesome style that you have now?
No, so basically, I think it kind of, so I started drawing, I was always like creative, but I wasn't really drawing a lot when I was, growing up. I had like, took some like painting classes and things like that, but then when I was in the middle of my electrical engineering education, I realized that this is not what I want to do, so I started taking drawing and painting classes pretty much like, was like 3 times a week, and it was like really intensive, and I wanted to like enter school in Ukraine to go like to study there, but everything that I was doing was like very like we were doing like still lifes and painting flowers and drawing all those like plaster heads and things like that. So it was like very like classical drawing education, a lot of like painting and drawing like figures, like people and portraits and things like that. And then so actually I applied for school in Berlin, in Ukraine, and then I didn't really I started it and then I went for like a week to the classes, and then I realized that basically it's more of the same. It's more of like just drawing and painting and not really developing any like other skills like illustration or graphic design. So even though the program was in graphic design, so I left that school and I applied for a school in Berlin instead, which was
Cool.
And my school in Berlin, the program was called Visual Communication, and my like speciality was illustration, and that's where I started really developing, I think, my style, because before I always tried to like do digital stuff, like draw just on my graphic tablet and stuff, and then in the school in Berlin, they really encouraged us to like try out different materials, and then I realized that the more materials you know how to work with, the more like tools you have in your box to kind of just try out different things, and it's not limiting as much as like if you only, let's say if you only know Photoshop but you don't know Illustrator, then you're only limited, and you can like always say like, oh, I always work only like traditionally, you know, and it's great. Like a lot of people work traditionally, but to me, I think it's great to have multiple tools in your box, if you can say that, just so you can be like take on different tasks and think about completing things differently too.
So
Does it make sense?
how long have you been drawing? Like, I just think your style is so cool and different. How long have you been drawing like this? Like for 2 years, for 10 years?
So like this, I would say since I started my school in Berlin, like 2013, I think. Yeah.
Cool.
And before I had like a very different style. It was more like digital and like more polished. And right now everything like lines are a bit like more wobbly. And yeah, it was.
I like the
very
wobbly
different.
lines. I'm into it.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Any other questions from the chat or from Instagram about art, about design, about women? And I think I see someone.
Okay. Because I can go on for like about the Futurista project if you want.
I saw somebody unmute themselves and then mute themselves again.
Yes,
There we go.
I didn't want to interrupt you, Tanya. Hi. I have a question for you. So I've been freelancing designing for a while, but I wanted to ask a little bit more about your story, how you started your own business as an illustrator and designer, and then also how you started to find clients and projects that really fit your style.
Thank you. So yeah, the question is, how did I start my illustration business, and then how I started taking on, how I started finding clients that fit my style. I think a lot of it, honestly, so like a lot of people that worked with me in the past would come back for more work, which is great. And I think that's like one thing that kind of from which I grow my, I guess, like client base or something. And I think social media helps. Like I started posting more things, and then people reach out to me and ask, you know, questions, or ask like, and just like keep me in mind for future projects. And sometimes I also realized that, like for example, I had this job in Berlin. It was like a part-time job that I worked at this startup as an illustrator, and originally they actually hired me as a graphic designer, and I just started doing more illustration stuff when I was already there, like hired there. And I was like, oh, look, this is like another option that I did that's more like involving illustration. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Like, you should just do that. So I was like, okay. So kind of like, I think showing people your strength, even in the setting that's not like originally, that you were not originally hired for, I think is like has worked for me somehow. Even so, there was like this one story that I think is like that is a kind of representative of that too. So I was actually working for a brand just as like in a retail setting. I wasn't hired as a creative or anything. There was like a side job, and basically what happened is that they were also doing some holiday cards giveaway. Like basically, like they just had a bunch of cards, and you were supposed to take a little like stencil and print the cards yourself. But and it was all for like Christmas time and things. And the stencil didn't work. So what happened is that I was like, oh, but I'm an illustrator and I also do like some calligraphy and hand lettering. I can do those cards for you. So basically, in the end, that was like I earned more money just because I jumped in at the right time and offered my services, even though like I wasn't hired to do any creative work there originally. Yeah.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Any other questions about illustration, about life, making art, doing stuff?
I'm going to show another drawing in the meanwhile. Can you hear? Can you see me? Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
So yeah, this was some ramen and this girl on a unicorn. It's actually a friend of mine. And yeah, vintage car, really big foot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like random stuff. Bunch of animals. Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Great.
well, those drawings are really fun. I'm really enjoying doing that.
Sweet. Well, why don't we close up shop? Before we do that, why don't if anybody has any questions, feel free to just unmute yourself or raise. I think you can raise your hand in Zoom or something like that. So you can feel free to do that if you don't want to just unmute yourself and jump in. But I would say I'm going to do a screen share, and can you tell people where they can find your stuff? And
I can share also my my website link and things like that.
Okay, so I think I have up right now on the screen. If you look at it, up is your website.
Yeah, it's,
do you see that?
.com. And the other, like my Instagram is Wash Inside Out.
Okay, which is here. If you guys are watching the screen share on the Zoom call, this is Tanya's Instagram. She has some pretty amazing illustrations. She has pictures of her life, her work. It's really great.
Yeah, I recently switched up my Instagram from I had a lot of lifestyle stuff before, and now I'm trying to post more of even more or just my work. So it's a work in progress, but I think it's pretty good.
Is this you and your hubby?
Yes.
So cute. Do you do commissions? What if I want a picture with my best friend? In your style.
Okay. Yeah, I actually was thinking to do this right now because, right now things are a little slower than usual, and people are, some businesses are struggling, so they're not really hiring people or pausing a little bit. So I was thinking maybe we can also, talk about this of what creative ways of earning money we can do right now, or some other projects to come up with to.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there is TanyaShyika.com. You can go to Wash Inside Out on Instagram, and her new project is Futurista, which is befuturista.com. There's a Kickstarter going on right now. It's for young people.
The Kickstarter is not up yet. But you can sign up.
Not up yet. You can sign up.
Yes, you can sign up to get updates, and please do, because I think it's a really great project. And the one thing that I forgot to say about it is that we're going to be doing, subscription. It's going to be like based on, subscriptions. There's going to be like freemium. So like some stuff is going to be free. Some other stuff is going to be, paid subscriptions and stuff. But what we're going to do is that for every subscription that people are going to purchase for themselves and their child, or like a teenage daughter, we're going to donate another subscription to a girl from a less privileged community, which I think is great.
That's awesome. And that's Futurista.com. I'm putting it in Instagram. Cool.
Oh, there is another question.
Yeah.
How do you find inspiration during this weird period? I think you can actually take inspiration from the weird period. And what I personally right now miss having being connected to people. So this is really great. Thank you so much. I think right now I try to reach out to more people, and just people, let's say on Instagram, that I usually just look on their stories. Right now, I also try to engage with them and talk to them and see what they're up to. And sometimes people, I feel like a lot of people are working on really cool projects right now. And that gives me a lot of energy and a lot of inspiration to start something myself and give something back. And for example, somebody yesterday replied to my Instagram, the drawing Instagram thing, that they said that your drawings and illustrations make quarantine not as bad, and I'm like, wow, this means everything to me. If I was able to make somebody's day better with my drawing, it's just the best.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way about my work. It's been really fun to be able to do these conversations, to get people thinking about the creative process, and then also to I do a bunch of sticky note projects. So I've been doing live streams, just drawing the things that people have been telling me to say onto sticky notes, and I've been putting them up all over the place. And as far as inspiration goes, I definitely derive a lot of inspiration from other people. I like being outside. I like being in public, and I don't get to do that right now because I'm, inside. But I've had a really fun time getting inspiration from other people that I've had conversations with. So that's why I'm doing this talk series, so that people can munch on tasty ideas and really think about how they can do whatever it is that they want to do at home. And be exposed to different artists that do that. Masha asks, who are your favorite artists?
Okay, who are my favorite artists? I think right now, the names that pop up in my head are illustrators. I guess, is that okay to answer that? So one of my favorite illustrators that I look up to, and she was my professor at during my exchange semester in New York. Her name is Jing Wei. Her work is really great, and everything that she does, I think is just she has a really cool style. And
what was her name again?
Jing Wei. I can type it in the
yeah, if you can type it in the chat, that would be cool.
Yeah, and another cool illustrator artist is Amber Vittoria. I love her stuff. I'm sure you've seen it, so she's very popular. I'm sure you've seen her stuff everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna type it too. And they actually all based in New York. And Another artist that I like is Daniel Zander. He's really cool too. He has like a different style. It's a bit more like as how I perceive, it's more dark somehow, like, you know, just like the tonality. But yeah, I love his stuff too. Daniel Zander. I hope I spell everything right. Sorry if I don't.
That's all right.
I'm sure you can find that. Yeah, and like one of you know, my favorite illustrators, and it's like more of like a classic space, I think already. Is Chris Ware. His stuff is just amazing, and I'm sure you know it too. Cool. Okay. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Another one. Another one is Lisk Fang.
So I'm going to screen share 3 of these that we're talking about. This
Yay!
is Jingwei's website and her stuff. This is pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it's super cool.
You guys have similar vibes in like the wavy lines,
Wavy lines.
flat colors, or like 2D stuff. All right, this is Amber Vittoria. Very cool.
Actually, I think so. If you're looking to do something cool and creative, Amber Vittoria is she's doing a workshop, and it's a part of workshop series that Brooklyn Art Library is doing. And I think there's 5 workshops this week, and you pay like $25 and you get to go to all of them. And Brooklyn Art Library is they are the people who brought Sketchbook Project to life. So yeah, just like check them out. It's great.
I'm super into Daniel Zender's stuff.
Yes, I know, right? It's so cool.
Whoops. That's awesome. Cool. All right. Any other questions on Instagram or on the chat? We've been talking for almost an hour now, so why don't we wrap up?
Okay.
If anyone has a last minute question, feel free to send it in the chat if you want to. But again, if you're looking to follow Tanya on some of the different things that she's on, you can go to Tanya Shyika, is TanyasHyika.com. Go there. It's great. You can find her stuff. You can also go to @wash_inside_out on Instagram, which I'll write. Any last words that you want to mention to people?
I just wanted to say something, because from my experience with Zoom, that if you want any of the like information from this chat, it might disappear after the call is over. So you can go into like the right side hand menu and press Save Chat, and then you can save everything that was in this chat, all the like links and all the names of the illustrators and stuff.
Cool. And I can see some familiar faces here, which I'm really excited about. But if anybody's interested in coming to this more often, I do this every weekday. It's through Art Plus People, a creative community that provides really creative, nourishing programs like this for anyone that's interested in being creative or figuring out this whole weird situation that we're in together. You can go to artpluspeople.com for more information there. Artpluspeople.com/lunch is where we talk about this kind of stuff. And yeah, we'd love for you to be part of the community. And if you're an artist and you are looking for resources or anything like that, please reach out to me. If you need, or if you want to nominate somebody, or if you're an artist and you want to be on this show, get in touch. Go to artpluspeople.com/lunch or @artpluspeople on Instagram and nominate a friend. There's a nominate page, so you can do that. I would love to find new and interesting people to interview so that we can all gain a little bit of perspective and inspiration in this odd time of social distancing. Everybody, thanks for being on the call and for being on
Thank you so
Instagram
much.
Live. And Tanya, thanks for being here. Really, you're such a gem, and I'm happy that people got to see some of your stuff and hear your thoughts.
Thank you so much. This was so fun. Let's do it again.
All right, let's do it again. All right, everybody, find tasty stuff to munch on every day. Keep your brain moving and curious, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye. See you soon.
Bye.